welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have another great recipe for you for the summer grilling. These beautiful shrimp brochettes. It's basically a stuffed bacon-wrapped shrimp, and we're going to show you how to make these. This is sort of a throwback recipe, a little bit retro, kind of a 90s restaurant shrimp recipe that we've adapted. So we're going to start with some shrimp. Now these are shell on. And some bacon. What works really well for this is just basic thin store-bought bacon. We have a little bit of cheddar cheese and some hot peppers. We're going to be using some Thai bird chilies. These are green Thai birds, but whatever kind of hot pepper you like. So we're going to start by deveining and shelling the shrimp. We're going to leave the tails on, but we do want to devein and remove most of the shells and the legs. So this helps to have an extremely sharp knife. You want to be careful, but you just slide the knife in along the spine underneath the shell about halfway down like that, and it should crack the shell and also pull out the vein at the same time. And if you're really lucky, it just pulls the shell off entirely like that. That's perfect. And there you go. You can use the shells later for bisque as well. So if you want to keep them, you can keep them in the freezer. That's fine. So next up, we are going to make just some little slivers of hot pepper here. So we have our little Thai bird chilies here. We're going to scrape out the seeds. And you see Chef Caleb here is just going to make tiny, tiny little slivers. These are really small little peppers. And we don't want a whole lot. This is, we're going to show you, this is just going to go down the spine of those shrimp. But you do want to get rid of those seeds. And as I said earlier, you can use any kind of pepper for this. We like these little small and slightly long ones because they are the right shape, but you can use little tiny pieces of jalapeno. You can use slivers of habanero, any kind of hot peppers you like. And once again, it does help to have a very sharp knife. Now for the cheese, we just need very little, honestly. We're just going to put, again, a little tiny sliver of the cheese down the spine of those shrimp in that little cut we just made. And it doesn't really matter if it falls apart. We're just going to be wrapping bacon around it anyway. So it's going to hold together just fine in the final product. We are going to cut it in half and then just cut it into little strips. And there you go. That's really all you need for this. And again, we're not using a whole lot of cheese in here. It's just a little tiny bit. Just for a little bit of creaminess. And again, cheddar is not required. You can use whatever you like. A good melting cheese is always useful. So you see here, we're just going to add the cheese and the little slice of pepper into that cut we made earlier where we deveined it. And then we're just going to wrap it in the bacon. And you can see this is pretty thin bacon. In past episodes where we've used bacon, we've got some pretty nice thick cut bacon, which we normally eat around our place. But this is just regular thin sliced, whatever your local like thin sliced bacon is. I think ours is maple leaf, and that's just perfect for this because we do want it to cook all the way through. We want the bacon to be crispy, and we still want to be able to make sure that the shrimp is cooked. So the really, really thick cut bacon isn't going to really work for this very well. So this is just perfect. And usually for regular size shrimp, one slice of bacon per shrimp is just about right. It gives you a little bit of room. You can double it over a little bit and you're in good shape. Now you can see we did leave the tails on because we do still want the tails on our shrimp for when they're cooked. So there you go, we've got all of our shrimps wrapped up, and what we're going to do now, just to make it a little easier to grill, we're just going to skewer them. So this does two things. Number one, we can put a few of them on these skewers, and it just makes it easier to turn everything over when it's time to turn them over on the grill. And it also helps the bacon stay attached. If it's going to unravel a little bit, this will keep it in place. Now, for the skewers, we just have regular wooden skewers here. You do want to make sure that you have given them a soak in water first. That will keep them from charring too much or catching fire, which would burn your shrimp a little bit. So we do soak them in water for a good long time until they're pretty damp before we apply them in this case. So just a tall jar where the skewers can stand up and be covered in the water. If there's nothing that's quite tall enough, then you can always make sure they're covered a little over halfway and then turn them over, just so that they're soaked all the way through. And you want to give a little bit of room between your shrimp on the skewers. They shouldn't be just pressed up against each other, otherwise the bacon will get crispy. So once you have your nice hot fire, you can put your shrimp on there. And we're going to make sure that the thick part is towards the middle where it's hotter, and the tails are going to be a little further out. Now, it depends on how you build your fire, but if you're using charcoal, generally the middle's going to be a little bit hotter. The outside's not going to be quite so hot. If you're using gas, of course, you have a lot more control over where the heat is, and you can decide where you like to have the heat. You can have one side hotter than the other, and then you have the tails on the cooler side. Just works a little bit better. Now we're going to have some cooking times down in the description below, and you can see here these are looking great on one side. Bacon's getting nice and crispy, and the tails, you can see the color on those tails is nice and red, so the shrimp is getting cooked as well. So give these all a flip. You can see a little bit of cheese melting out of them as well. That's fine, don't worry about that. It's not going to affect the final flavor. Although you do want to be careful, it may catch fire on your grill. And once the other side is cooked, that's pretty much it. They are done. So you can see nice and crispy on the other side. Once you see that bacon is crispy and has good good color and is completely rendered, they're done. That you can give them a little squeeze to make sure that the shrimp is not still rare in the middle. But by the time that bacon is good and dark, the shrimp should also be cooked. And you do want to give it a squeeze, but that's it. That's the recipe. So a little bit of prep work involved in this one. You do want to make sure you're getting started well in advance. It doesn't need to sit around. You don't need to put this in the fridge overnight or anything. Once they're wrapped, they're ready to hit the grill. And that's it. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any ideas you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.